Lita.
We're the two Pilates Chicks, and we are here in our studio in Los Angeles. And this is season 6, episode 5. I had to look at my notes.
We even prepared so we would remember what it was.
I know. So welcome. And I don't even know how to title this episode. We'll figure it out. But basically, we are talking about different teaching environments.
Yeah.
And then different forms of employment in terms of Pilates teaching.
Yeah, different teaching environments, types of environments, types of employment.
Yep. And I think it's one of those things that we're going to kind of talk about the pros and cons, but also how good it is to experience all the different kind of options we have as teachers to give you more tools in your teaching, to give you more ranges of clientele and issues and figure out your path.
Yeah, lots of different experiences. I mean, basically all the different pros and cons. There's not one type of environment or type of employment status that is the
Better
best.
or worse. Yeah.
It just depends on the individual teacher and
maybe where you are in life too.
I was just going to say, yeah, like throughout time, like throughout your career, it can change too, what you prefer teaching.
Your lifestyle at that time. Yeah.
Because I think when people are younger and newer into teaching, it can be really fun to work in the like group fitness stuff. As you get more experienced and specialize in certain things, people tend to gravitate more into the private settings.
Sector. We're like,
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
So basically, I mean, the types of employment status that you can have as a Pilates teacher, you can be an employee, which means you can be employed as the teacher, or in certain environments you can be
in management,
a director of the Pilates or fitness part of that company.
Go into that. You can be full-time or part-time.
Yeah. And there's lots of differences between those two.
Yeah.
You could be an independent contractor.
You could be an employer because you are the studio owner.
And then you could also be self-employed. Yep. Which is different than being an independent contractor.
Yes, very different. And we'll kind of go through that. We're not getting into the taxes or anything like that. Just
no, and that depends on your state and where you are. But then in terms of environments, you have a gym or a private club, country club type of setting, fitness, business environment.
Like Equinox also, Lifetime. Yeah. Those kind of places.
Then you have your classic like boutique studio.
Yeah.
And you have the group studios. That could be any sort of thing from Legree to these other ones that are popping up, or even like classical Pilates group fitness studios. So any of those studios that focus primarily on the group and the classes. Yeah.
And so those is that?
Well, then you could also be a Pilates teacher within a wellness space, a physical therapy clinic.
We've done that.
And then some people have their own home studios.
Yeah.
And then lots of people go to clients' homes for their in-home studio.
Like you don't have a space, you actually go to the client's home, teach them, then you go to the next person and the next, and teaching them out of the house.
Yeah. So there's a number of different things, and people do some and all and a mixture of all of these.
We kind of picked the ones that we've had experience. I think the only one we haven't had experience with is that group class reformer fitness place. We've never taught in that environment, but we've taught group classes.
Right. And that's also different because you can teach group classes within any of those other places.
Corporate.
Yeah. But we specifically have not taught at the studios that are specifically group reformer classes.
Yes. That's kind of a newer thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. But so we kind of thought we would talk through the individual and the pros and the cons and kind of experiences and benefits maybe of these different environments. And you want to hit the boutique studio first?
Yeah, I mean, I think
which is what we have.
Yeah, the biggest one for us is because we have a boutique studio. And I think ours is interesting because within our studio space, we have independent, we have renters. Yeah. And then we have our own teaching businesses within it.
Yeah.
With a co-shared space.
Yeah. because it's confusing. So basically, we're self-employed.
Yep.
Share the space. And then we have people renting from us.
Yeah. So essentially anybody within our space who's teaching they are all self-employed. So everybody has their own, they do their own independent taxes. They have to deal with their own
clientele,
insurance.
Schedule.
Yeah. All of that.
Yeah. How they everything. And then we also have the students in here, but that's like a whole nother story. Because they're not working yet.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that technically, so we're studio owners, but we're not really employers.
Right. And so that's the difference. So you can own a studio and not be an employer.
Because I've been that, and then I've also had independent contractors in my space in Texas.
Yeah.
So I've had both of those.
And that's a difference too for different states, because in California, if we wanted to have people working for us, we couldn't have an independent contractor. Because now the laws are different where we would have to have
right
employees.
Before I moved.
Yeah, it was about that.
It was right before,
then. Yeah. So if we wanted people to work for us, we would have to hire full or part-time employees. And then...
No.
And some people like to do that and have part-time teachers, and some don't.
It's a little too much responsibility for me.
It gets to be a lot.
It's a lot.
So it can be fun because you can really tailor the environment you want, and then you can work with your employees. But it is, you have to be responsible for other people's health care that you provide.
Yeah, a lot of paperwork.
Taxes,
Yep.
all of that.
So some people love that.
Yeah.
And so again, there's benefits, pros and cons
to
everything.
And some people, if they own a studio that they then want to create like multiple branches of, then you
like
do have to have, franchised sort of a thing, but not a like chain company, but you have maybe like 2 or 3 locations. You then would have to employ people.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you can't be everywhere.
And then you're responsible for more than one space.
Yeah, exactly. So it can be a lot, but it can also be super fun. And so people that really like the business side of things, that can be awesome.
Yeah. No one in this room. We like the teaching part of it. So with the boutique, there came my accent. Boutique studio, we have the self-employed, independent contractor. You can be an employee. And then we have, which we kind of group together, that fitness center, kind of country club, which we've had experiences in both of those, or the corporate kind of like environment.
Yeah, corporate fitness environment.
Corporate fitness, yeah. And both of us have taught in those environments, and also both been in the management. So not only were we employees, but we were employers in terms of that we ran the programs, hiring, firing, payroll, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So in those environments, so the fitness, the private club, the corporate club, whatever.
Yeah.
So for me, I was an independent contractor there. I was an employee. I was part-time and full-time, and just a teacher, and then also a director and manager. So I've had like all of those different roles within those sorts of environments.
And same, I was independent contractor, part-time, full-time, employee, and then employer in management. And we both were there for 10 years at least in that environment.
Yep.
And you can be an employee in that environment and full-time or part-time. What else?
Independent
contractor.
Yeah. So, I mean, the difference there is if you're part-time, you don't get certain benefits, but you do...
No bonuses.
Yeah, no bonuses.
We miss those.
And like sick days and vacation days. So as a part-time person within that, you don't get those, but you do get a little bit more flexibility with your schedule.
Yeah.
So if you're full-time, you get all those benefits, but you're much more restricted with your own
time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's less autonomy over your schedule.
Yeah. And there's differences also in those types of clubs, because if you go into something with like Equinox, where it also is, you get more into kind of a sales aspect of it as a person there, where you don't get that so much in the country club setting. So that's something also to kind of think about. Like, is that your comfort level or not?
Yeah. And like for me in that sort of environment, I absolutely hated having to do that sales aspect and like sell my time. But at the same time, it is a good experience. It's good to learn how to word what you do, how to kind of
pitch. It gives you confidence in kind of selling yourself as a teacher.
Yeah. And it helps you kind of wrap your ideas around of like, what is it that I'm actually selling? What is it I'm offering and providing? How does Pilates help someone? How can I tell somebody what I do in like 3 seconds?
Instead of like, when you're at the party and it's like, what do you do? I teach Pilates. What is that? And you're like,
well, there's lengthening and strengthening and stretching.
But in the environment there, you're like, you got it.
You have to have your little sales pitch.
Yeah. And they're not going to stick around for 10 minutes to hear you.
They're not listening.
No.
Yeah.
They've got things to do.
Yeah. And so that, again, the pros and cons of it.
Yeah. And I think, like we're going to talk about, I think it's important to experience all these kind of environments. And not that you have to go, I'm going to be a full-time person. Now I'm going to part-time. But the environments more so then. But just understanding the differences of employment in those environments.
Yeah, and I think that's the main point is that for teachers, it's important, especially when you're a newer teacher. You're not going to just find somewhere and stay there forever.
No.
It's really important to try all these different types of environments of where you're teaching and types of employment of how you're working. Because a new teacher might come out and be like, oh, I don't like working for someone. I want to be independent. But you don't actually know all those nuances that go into what does it actually mean to be either an independent contractor or self-employed.
Yeah.
And the responsibilities and the needs for running your own business. Even if you're not owning your own space, if you're renting from somebody else's space, you're still running your business.
Yeah, and that's the key to think about is like, if you think about opening up your own studio or renting space, you are selling yourself and you are having to be responsible for the business side of your teaching. Where if you are in the environment like we talked about in the club or the kind of big fitness club, you don't really, the clients are there. They come to you.
Yeah, it's more of a limited pool when you're in a private environment at the country club or the gym or whatever. It's the people who are members of that place. That you're there to offer the
general
service.
Public can't just come in.
Yeah.
So,
and that can also be a pro and con in itself.
Exactly.
So for myself, when I was in a private club environment, it was very nice not having to run around and try to get people.
Yeah.
So they would come to me because I provided that service for the members of that place.
Exactly.
But my other outside contacts in the region that wanted to refer people to me, those people couldn't come see me in that space.
Yep. It's funny because I was in that environment and it's just your members, and then I left because they got sold. And then our friend Kimberly, she's in that environment. And so a lot of times it would be like, hey, I have someone who wants to do Pilates, but they're not a member. So, and you did that too.
Yep.
You have to send them somewhere else.
Yeah.
But it is nice to know you don't have to work to get clients. It's kind of like they're just in that environment.
Yeah. I mean, you still put some work into it, but it's definitely not to the same level as when you're outside in a private setting or a boutique setting.
Studio.
Yeah.
And I lost my train of thought. I knew that would happen.
Always.
I know. But we were talking also about kind of that environment of, because we hit the renting, the self-employed, the independent, full and part-time employee. But what about the ones that either have their own home studio or go to someone's house?
Yeah, and there's
the client's house.
Right. So you can have, in your own home, you can have a studio. Which,
a lot happened after COVID with that.
Yeah. And then when also we can go to clients' homes if they have apparatus. I mean, even if they just have a mat, I've done that too.
Yeah, me too.
And the benefits of driving to someone, again, you have like a flexible schedule, you get outside, you're not stuck in one place all the time. But you have to charge a little more to make it worthwhile because you can't stack clients back to back.
You're pretty much losing 2 hours for each client.
Yeah, you have to
of
drive.
Being in a set spot.
There's also wear and tear on the car.
Gas.
Yeah, and that is something that I think people overlook sometimes. But majorly, you can't have sessions back to back. You have to go from one place, drive somewhere else.
And some people like that. Some people like because they're out and about. It's a different environment where you're going. But again, it's like, I don't think I've had home clients and I did not like it.
It's hard for me.
It's a different environment. You're in someone's home as well.
So that's the main thing that I didn't like for myself is that I'm not in a space that I'm running. I'm in their space. And they can sometimes take advantage of that. And not even intentionally. But
it's their home. It's their house. It's their, So that was my discomfort with it. It's like I didn't feel like I was the teacher in terms of my space and
you're like a guest.
Yeah, I felt like a guest. It was kind of an odd feeling.
And sometimes for clients in those environments, they can have to go suddenly, I have to go turn the stove on. Or
I'm expecting a package.
Yeah, and so then they're like off doing something. You're like, okay.
And they're just standing there in their house. Yeah. I had one where she wouldn't, they would let me, like the door would be unlocked for me, and then I would end up just sitting there while she got ready. It just was awkward. Yeah. So, there's just these... But some people are fine with that.
And it can be fun, and some people really love it. Yeah. And then similarly, I think a lot of people think, my goal in life is to have a home studio because they think I wouldn't have to pay rent. There's less overhead because you already live there. Yeah. But then you have to think, do I want random people coming in and coming to my home? Even if it's a separate, you have something in a garage
thing or whatever. They're still coming into your
it's your
home
space.
Setting. Yeah,
it's your environment. So,
and they can also take advantage of that, knowing you have no overhead, knowing you have no and be like, well, why can't I pay less because you're not paying rent?
Right. And sometimes they can assume it's less of a professional business because it doesn't have its own storefront. Yeah. And then either be a bit disrespectful or, like you're saying, not think,
it's not a serious business. I just did air quotes.
Serious business. Serious. And why do I have to have a late fee? This isn't a company.
You're at home. So I didn't give you any discomfort.
It's not an inconvenience. And then having random people, some people who have home studios will only take people who's referred if they know someone else.
Or they don't put their address where they're located on their website.
Right.
Which I think is smart, actually. So that they have to give that once they've talked to that person and feel...
Vetted them.
Yeah, vetted them.
So that's a level of comfort and security, really.
Yeah. And then one thing we talked about was we had this conversation in terms of teachers going out into the world, especially seeing the students that we have go through the teacher training and going out and understanding all these different environments and experiencing them, but them just wanting to open a studio.
Right.
Just opening their own studio, which that's a whole different podcast. But what our point is that all these different experiences, when you do decide to open, you have all of these different, full-time, part-time, independent contractor, rent. You have all these kind of things to pull from to go, I like this, I don't like this, this is good, this is not. And understanding more of the business part of it.
Right, because it's quite important to be self-employed, maybe also independent contractor in some ways before you just go have your actual own space that you're in charge of. Because as a self-employed person who's renting space from another studio, you start to learn the nuances of how to run a space, how to manage your own business without 100% of all this overhead. Yeah. So it is an important experience to have.
And the overhead is not just rent.
No.
And I think people think, I just pay rent.
Right.
No.
And that is so you have your teaching liability insurance, your business insurance, you do have rent.
Property taxes.
But then,
business property taxes. Franchise tax. Yeah. Yeah. It's
parking, utilities.
Yeah. So it's knowing that and kind of being in an experience and kind of through osmosis, kind of learning things as well.
Yeah, and learning how to manage your apparatus. So if you own a studio, you own your apparatus. You need to maintain it. You need to hire people to do maintenance on it. You need to clean it.
Make sure the springs are good. Make sure everything's
all the hooks, all the attachment points.
Yeah.
And that's a major thing, especially like for us here, since we have, again, not employees, but people running their own businesses through our space. We need to make sure the apparatus is 100% safe and perfect. All the springs are good because everyone's using it.
Yeah. And it's like, and so, it's like the other thing maybe we should hit on is like, you're also learning how other studios run, right? Or businesses run, and that professionalism and kind of how as a business person, because we are business people, how to navigate that and how to do it in a way that is professional, because it speaks to your clients, it speaks to other teachers that you're around, and so you're learning all of that.
Yeah, the professionalism, how to speak to other teachers, how to speak to clients, how to speak to maybe
the
other
studio owners, or your director owners, or whatever.
People who own other businesses, maybe that you cross-refer to,
like
and
the
how to
PTs,
be professional with
the
them.
doctors,
even like the building owners that your space is within.
Your management,
building management, like how to.
You're not going to call it big. That's not.
And knowing the times that maybe you do have to be a little more forceful with a management
without being rude.
Yeah, because your space is still within their building.
And I think it's important, to realize that it is a kind of a benefit of what we do that are all these options for employment.
Yeah.
And it's not just one thing.
And that's what really allows this career to be so many different types of people within it, and you can really make it what works for you.
Yeah. Well, we talked about, because we didn't hit on it because we've never taught in the environment of like what we call reformer fitness. But that environment speaks to so many people in terms of what they get to do and the time that they put into it, meaning they can run in, do their class, leave. You don't have to worry about whatever.
Yeah, so those people can likely they have another job of some sort, because you're not going to make so much as a group reformer teacher.
Yeah.
But
the hourly is not the same.
Yeah, it's much lower hourly than private instruction. And so, but maybe you have another career that you like to do, and then you also like to teach Pilates. So you teach some like weekend classes, but you also have your other stuff. So that also allows for so many different people to be within the field.
I think that's great when we talk about Pilates teacher and how there's a Pilates teacher for everybody. It's almost like this, if you just flip it a little bit, there's always a place for the Pilates teacher. Yeah. The different environments. It's just finding one that works for you.
Yeah. And the biggest thing I think is just so important to experience all those different environments as a new teacher.
Yep.
And see what works.
Yeah. Because except for the reformer fitness, we've experienced all these. Yeah. So, and there's benefits and loves and kind of not happy about certain things in each environment.
Yeah. There's the pros and cons for everything.
Yeah. There's no perfect. Even if you open up your own studio, it's still not like, roses and butterflies all the time.
There's a lot to do.
Yeah. But I think, like you said, just all the different experiences and clientele that you get will be different in each of these environments.
Right. And even going from one boutique studio to a different one, you get different types of clients.
Different neighborhoods, different cities maybe, if you move cities.
Yes, cities, states. But there's pros and cons to all of them. And it's important to know and kind of think about each one, what works for you and what doesn't work, and try the different things out.
Yeah. It reminds me of kind of the live we did the other day on workshops. It's like finding the workshop that works for you. It's kind of finding the environment that works for you in teaching.
Yeah. And similarly to what we were saying the other day, if you're somewhere that you don't like, you still learn from being in an environment that's not your favorite.
Yeah. It doesn't mean you're like walking in and 2 days later, I don't like this.
Yeah.
Or, give it
time.
Because I feel like it's like teaching a client. You can't make a rash decision on them in one session.
Right. Because things change and you just never know.
No, you never know. And it could be start out kind of rough and then it gets better.
Yeah.
Because maybe you need to be more open, or maybe it's like you don't understand, or you're learning. So it's all a learning experience.
Yeah, and I mean, learning the things we don't like, learning the things that don't work for us, learning...
Which is important, learning what you don't like.
Especially if you're going to run your own space, seeing how other studio owners run their space and what you do and don't like about what they do.
Yeah. It's like, figuring out, oh, that works for me too. Or, oh, I would never, that doesn't work for me.
Yep.
And nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. It's just important to experience.
Yeah. It's also important, like we were talking about, not only the professionalism of you being in your space, but also the professionalism of you as a teacher with other studios. And other, like at Equinox or Lifetime or whatever it is that you run into, being professional, and it's a community, and you never know if you're going to end up in that space with whoever you're having a conversation with.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you have to be respectful within the community.
It's very important.
And knowing how to work with others within the same shared space is huge.
And that's another learning benefit of these different environments, is you're running into different teachers and different teaching styles and different personalities.
Yeah. And again, you learn so much from different teachers' differences.
Yeah. That's why I think it's so good to be in an environment with other teachers, because you're always like absorbing things, even if you don't know it.
You learn so much.
Yeah.
Because I love both, because I've done both, of having my own private space and really being like one-on-one with this one person that you're teaching. But then also being in a shared space is so enlivening, and you really like learn from people all the time.
But it's nice, like, you can, like today, it was weird. It's a Friday. I don't know why, but it was quiet, and I had the clients to myself in the space. I only had 2, but it was a slow day. But you're like, ooh, but then another day it's busy. So you get that kind of both.
Yeah.
And you're just like, ooh, I'm alone today. Or, ooh, no other people are here today.
Yeah. And you just have both. And again, pros and cons to both.
Yeah. Yay!
Yep.
Well, our sponsor is kind of us again.
Yes.
Because it is, when this comes out, it will be April. Wait, right?
I think so. We have to look at the calendar.
We have to look at the calendar. Anyway, if it's not, forgive us. But yes, it will be April, because I don't know. Anyway, point is, here's our blooper reel. Our spring workshop is coming May 17th here in LA.
Yep, in the studio.
And it's guiding clients in pain. It's our second spring workshop. We kind of like spring. And you can book online at PilatesChicks.com. What else do you want to tell about it?
So we're going to be guiding teachers through client case studies. You can bring your own specific case studies of what you want to work through and have questions about working with different experiences, different types of like pathologies and painful experiences with clients, and how to continue helping them move through their Pilates practice, not being afraid of pain, not being afraid of their conditions, and
gaining their trust,
having your own confidence in your work.
Yes, that's key. Because if you're confident, they're going to trust you more. Yeah, so it's 4 CECs, MPCP, and you can book. We keep it small.
Yeah, specific to your needs.
Space is limited, yes, but go check it out on our website. It's under upcoming events, and it's guiding your clients in pain. Yep. Pass it on. And you can find us on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, what else?
And wherever you get your podcasts.
Yeah, Apple, Spotify, Amazon. Yeah, but thanks for listening.
Yay!
Yay! Bye!